Welcome back, Coinology. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain coins that create legends around themselves, coins that go beyond being just small circular pieces of metal, coins that carry with them not only historical weight but also immense fascination among collectors across the globe. One such coin that has become the subject of intense discussions, endless research, and sometimes unbelievable stories is the 1978 1-cent United States coin. At first glance, it might seem like an ordinary Lincoln cent, a coin that millions of Americans would have carried in their pockets, used in their daily transactions for small purchases, vending machines, or even just to make exact change. But behind this seemingly ordinary coin lies a story so powerful that today collectors associate its rare versions with values that reach into the hundreds of millions of dollars, and its name shines as a symbol of how something small can carry extraordinary worth. The 1978 1-cent coin, also commonly referred to as a penny, was part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 with the introduction of the Lincoln wheat cent and continued with the memorial reverse design, starting in 1959. By 1978, the coin had become a familiar sight for nearly every American. It featured the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that had already become iconic in the world of numismatics. Brenner's portrayal of Lincoln was not just a simple profile, it carried emotion, a sense of dignity, and a strong connection to American history, as Lincoln was the president who had guided the country through the Civil War and had become a symbol of freedom, unity, and perseverance. This design had been in circulation for decades, and by the time 1978 arrived, billions of such coins had been struck at different mints across the United States. The coin's reverse side in 1978 featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the memorial reverse was filled with symbolic meaning. Not only did it honor Lincoln, but if one looked closely, the tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial was visible, making the penny one of the few coins to depict the same individual on both the obverse and reverse sides. The inscriptions included United States of America along the top, the denomination 1 cent at the bottom, and the national motto E pluribus unum in the center above the memorial. On the obverse side, one could see the word liberty to the left of Lincoln's portrait, the motto "In God We Trust" above his head, and the year 1978 to the right side, often accompanied by a mint mark that denoted where the coin was struck. For that year, coins could have been minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, in Denver with a D, and in San Francisco with an S, primarily for proof issues to high in terms of specifications. The 1978 Lincoln cent was struck in a composition that had been used since 1962, consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc. The coin weighed 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its edge was plain, without any reading. This composition and weight were important, as just a few years later in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned the cent to a copper-plated zinc planchet to save costs due to rising copper prices. This makes the 1978 penny part of the final era of fully copper cents, which in itself adds to the desirability for certain collectors. Now, when we talk about value, we must look at the spectrum of conditions and rarities that exist within the 1978 cent series. A circulated 1978 penny might only be worth its face value or a few cents more to collectors. However, when a coin survives in pristine condition, free from scratches, marks, or wear, and is graded by professional grading services at high mint state levels, its value can increase dramatically. Collectors hunt for coins with sharp strikes, brilliant luster, and little to no imperfections. Even more exciting are the error coins from 1978, those with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or other unusual minting anomalies. These errors can turn an ordinary penny into a highly valuable rarity, but the real legend, the one that elevates the 1978 1-cent coin into the realm of unimaginable worth, is tied to extremely rare varieties that are said to exist in the hands of a few private collectors or hidden in collections where the world has not yet seen them. Stories circulate in numismatic communities about certain 1978 pennies struck with experimental metal compositions, or test strikes made by the mint, or special proof-like strikes that were never meant to leave the mint but somehow did. These extraordinary specimens are said to command prices in the hundreds of millions, with one particular 1978 cent being rumored to have reached an astonishing valuation of $188 million in private dealings. While to the casual observer this may seem impossible for a coin with such a high mintage, collectors know that the coin market thrives on rarity, provenance, condition, and above all, stories that make a coin unique. The $188 million valuation often quoted in discussions of the 1978 penny stems not from the typical examples one might find in circulation, but from the lore surrounding the so-called Holy Grail specimens. Imagine a coin struck in 1978 but with an experimental gold-plated planchet, or a transitional error that should not exist, or even a specimen once owned by a famous collector whose legacy adds immeasurable prestige to the piece. In such cases, the coin transforms from currency into a one-of-a-kind artifact, part history, part legend, part treasure. Wealthy collectors with a passion for owning the rarest of the rare will stop at nothing to secure such pieces, and when bidding wars ignite in secret auctions or private negotiations, prices can skyrocket to levels that seem unreal to the average person. The 1978 cent is a fascinating study not only in coinage but in human psychology, for it demonstrates how value is not just about intrinsic worth but about perceived rarity, historical significance, and the emotional attachment people have to symbols of their past. Abraham Lincoln, immortalized on the penny, embodies values of freedom, justice, and leadership, and owning a rare coin that bears his image becomes more than an act of collecting, it becomes a way of holding a piece of history, of connecting to the ideals that Lincoln represented. For collectors, the thrill of searching through rolls of 1978 pennies, checking mint marks, examining for errors, and sending coins to grading services remains strong. Some hope to discover that hidden treasure, the one coin that could turn them into millionaires overnight. Stories of ordinary people finding extraordinary coins in their change continue to inspire hope. And when the myth of the $188 million 1978 penny circulates, it fuels the imagination of thousands, reminding them that treasures might still be out there waiting to be found. When we continue to dive into the fascinating world of the 1978 1-cent coin, it becomes clear that this little copper piece represents much more than its face value, and even more than its metallic composition, because in the minds of collectors and historians, each penny carries with it a narrative of time, culture, and economics that stretches far beyond what many people expect. By the year 1978, the penny had already been in circulation for decades under the Lincoln design, and countless billions had been produced, yet the allure of finding that one coin that separates itself from the rest keeps people searching tirelessly. What fascinates many collectors is how such an ordinary year, a year that most people might not even remember in terms of coinage, could give rise to stories of hidden rarities and values that rival the most expensive pieces of art or gemstones in the world. The truth is that the value of a coin is never just about its mintage or how many were struck, it is about the stories that surround it, the passion of those who seek it, and the mystique created by the possibility of owning something truly one of a kind. In 1978, the U.S. Mint operated primarily from 3 facilities when it came to the production of pennies. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, the Denver Mint produced coins with a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins with the S mint mark intended for collectors. Each of these coins shared the same design elements and specifications, but for keen-eyed numismatists, the differences in mint marks can play a significant role in desirability and value. The Denver Mint was known for producing coins with high volume, sometimes leading to minor imperfections or weak strikes, while San Francisco proofs were polished, carefully struck, and intended to showcase the best craftsmanship of the mint. Yet even with these official versions, stories of mysterious errors and test coins from 1978 persist, fueling speculation that somewhere in private collections lie pieces worth fortunes beyond imagination. Collectors who study the 1978 cent in detail often pay attention to the condition of the strike, the luster, and even the tiniest details of the lettering and portrait. In high-grade mint-state conditions, a 1978 penny can show brilliant red surfaces, untouched by the circulation that dulls most coins. These red examples are treasured by collectors, especially when graded by services like PCGS or NGC with MS67 or higher designations. While most examples might sell for modest amounts, the rarest and most pristine pieces can reach into the thousands, and when the mystique of errors or unique varieties comes into play, values can skyrocket. There have been reports of double die outbursts, coins struck off-center, or even pennies with clipped planchets from that year. Each of these errors tells a story of how, in the mass production of coins, accidents occur, and those accidents, rather than being worthless, often become the most sought-after treasures. The weight of the 1978 penny at 3.11 grams may seem like an ordinary technical detail, but for collectors it has profound importance. This weight represents the classic copper composition that had been used since the early 1960s, and when you hold such a penny in your hand, you are holding a piece of metal that is heavier, richer, and more enduring than the zinc-coated pennies that came after 1982. Collectors often describe the feel of a copper penny as more authentic, more substantial, and more tied to the history of American coinage. Some even go so far as to stockpile pre-1982 copper pennies simply for their metal content, but for the rarest examples of 1978 cents, the value lies not in the copper but in the extraordinary rarity of certain specimens that exist only in whispers and legends. It is said that among the countless millions of 1978 pennies struck, a few were produced in error with experimental planchets, possibly intended for foreign coinage contracts or test runs at the mint. Such coins, if they exist, are incredibly valuable, because they blur the line between official issue and unique anomaly. Collectors chase after stories of bronze-colored cents struck on aluminum planchets, or coins with unusual colorations due to improper alloy mixtures. These oddities often become the centerpieces of collections, commanding staggering prices whenever they appear in auctions. The most astonishing tales suggest that one of these experimental 1978 cents, preserved in near-perfect condition, exchanged hands in a private sale for a jaw-dropping $188 million, making it one of the most valuable coins on the planet, rivaling even the legendary 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle and other numismatic treasures. To put this into perspective, the 1978 penny was never meant to be rare. It was produced in the hundreds of millions, and to the casual eye, one penny looks exactly like another. Yet this is where the magic of coin collecting reveals itself. Value emerges not from quantity but from scarcity, condition, and narrative. A coin that most people would ignore on the sidewalk can, under the right circumstances, be worth more than mansions, yachts, or priceless works of art. This contrast, between the humble penny and its extraordinary potential, captures the imagination of people everywhere. The idea that something so small, so common, could secretly hide unimaginable wealth creates a sense of adventure, as though anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon the treasure of a lifetime. For those who dedicate their lives to collecting coins, the 1978 penny embodies more than just money. It embodies history, nostalgia, and the thrill of the hunt. Each collector remembers the first time they discovered an unusual coin and change, the excitement of peering closely at the mint mark, the year, the shine of the surface. Some pursue coins purely for their financial value, while others are motivated by the stories and the beauty of the designs. The Lincoln cent, with Lincoln's solemn yet noble profile, has become a cultural icon, recognized by nearly every American, and yet when viewed under magnification, every detail comes alive, from the lines in Lincoln's beard to the architectural columns of the memorial on the reverse. This attention to detail is what transforms a simple coin into a world of discovery. Imagine a collector examining hundreds of 1978 pennies under a magnifying glass, looking for a doubling in the lettering of "In God We Trust," or a slight misalignment in Lincoln's portrait, or a faint error in the memorial columns. Each small discovery is like finding a clue in a mystery, leading the collector deeper into the story of the coin. And when rumors of multi-million-dollar values circulate, the excitement multiplies, creating a community of treasure hunters bonded by the hope of discovery. The myth of the $188 million 1978 penny continues to grow because it captures the essence of what makes collecting coins such a captivating pursuit. It is not simply about owning a piece of metal, it is about the chase, the possibility, the dream that somewhere out there, in a jar of change or a forgotten drawer, lies a coin that could change someone's life forever. And even if most 1978 pennies will never be worth more than a few cents, the legend keeps people searching, keeps them examining each coin carefully, keeps them dreaming of the day they might be the one to uncover the rarest treasure of them all. As we journey even deeper into the story of the 1978 1-cent coin, it becomes increasingly clear why collectors speak of it with such passion and why the myths surrounding it never seem to fade away. The coin is a perfect blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary, a mass-produced object that, in certain rare forms, transcends its humble origins to become an artifact of staggering value. For those who understand the nuances of coinage, every detail matters, every scratch tells a story, and every mint mark has meaning. And when one considers the year 1978 in particular, it was not just another year in the life of the Lincoln cent, it was a period that stood at the edge of change, a moment just before a major transformation in American coinage would take place, and that gives this coin even greater historical weight. By 1978, inflation was making headlines across the United States. The price of raw copper was climbing steadily, and the cost of producing pennies was beginning to approach, and sometimes even exceed, the actual value of the coin itself. This created a growing debate within the U.S. Mint and the Treasury Department about whether to change the composition of the cent. Although the change would not officially occur until 1982, when the copper alloy was replaced with copper-plated zinc, collectors now look back at the late 1970s as the final golden years of the true copper penny. The 1978 cent, therefore, holds a place of nostalgia, a reminder of the weight, the sound, and the feel of pennies that were made to last. Holding a 1978 copper penny today connects one to an era before the shift, making it symbolic of the end of an age in American coinage. For the average person in 1978, pennies were everywhere. They jingled in pockets, filled piggy banks, and rolled across countertops. Most people barely gave them a second thought. But for collectors, and especially for those who would later look back with knowledge of what was to come, each 1978 penny was a piece of history in the making. And because billions were minted, most people assume they are worthless. Yet hidden within those billions are coins of exceptional quality, coins with errors that slip through unnoticed, and possibly coins that were never intended for circulation at all. These are the ones that fuel the stories of extraordinary values, the ones whispered about in numismatic circles, the ones that could command $188 million in the right circumstances. Imagine the thrill of finding such a coin. Picture a collector sifting through rolls of 1978 pennies, expecting only common examples, when suddenly one stands out, an unusual shine, a strange weight, a detail in the design that doesn't match the others. The heart races, the magnifying glass comes out, and with every closer inspection, the possibility grows that this might be one of the legendary rarities. Perhaps it is a transitional error, struck on a blank intended for another denomination, or perhaps it is a proof quality strike that somehow escaped the San Francisco Mint. Maybe it is a double die obverse, with the words "In God We Trust" showing clear doubling, a telltale sign of a rare variety. For the collector, that moment of discovery is priceless, the culmination of hours of searching, and the beginning of a story that could one day lead to unimaginable fortune. The symbolism of the 1978 penny adds even more depth to its story. On the obverse, Lincoln's face is not just a portrait, it is an icon of leadership, freedom, and perseverance. He is the only president to appear on a coin that has been continuously minted for over a century, a testament to his enduring place in American history. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a symbol of unity and remembrance, and hidden within its columns, the tiny seated figure of Lincoln connects the two sides in a way that no other coin does. To hold a 1978 penny is to hold a miniature monument, a piece of art and history combined, struck in copper and passed from hand to hand across generations. This artistry, combined with the coin's historical context, makes it more than just currency. It makes it a story, a memory, and for some, a treasure. When people hear that a 1978 penny could be worth $188 million, their first reaction is disbelief. How could a penny, the lowest denomination in circulation, be valued higher than luxury cars, private jets, or even mansions? The answer lies in the nature of rarity, prestige, and demand. Wealthy collectors, museums, and private investors are willing to pay astronomical sums for unique pieces that cannot be duplicated. A painting by a famous artist, even though it is just canvas and paint, can fetch hundreds of millions because it is one of a kind. Likewise, a coin that exists in only one or two examples, especially if it has an extraordinary story, can attract similar values. In this sense, the 1978 penny becomes not just money but art, history, and legend rolled into one small copper disc. Beyond the financial value, there is also an emotional value tied to the 1978 penny. For many people, pennies represent childhood memories, days of collecting loose change, filling jars, or making small purchases when a penny could still buy something meaningful. There is nostalgia in the copper color, in the feel of the coin, in the sound it makes when it hits a surface. Collectors often talk about how coins connect them to their past, to their families, to their culture. The 1978 penny, being one of the last full copper issues before the zinc era, holds a particularly strong nostalgic pull. For older collectors, it brings back memories of their youth, while for younger ones, it is a connection to a time they never lived but can experience through the coin itself. The $188 million legend has, in many ways, elevated the 1978 penny to a mythical status. It has become a symbol of hidden wealth, a reminder that treasures might be hiding in plain sight. This has inspired countless people to search through their spare change, to study coins more carefully, and to learn about the fascinating world of numismatics. Stories circulate of ordinary people finding rare coins by accident, coins that change their lives forever. And while the chance of finding a multi-million-dollar penny may be slim, the possibility keeps the dream alive. Each coin examined, each roll opened, each magnifying glass placed over a penny carries with it a spark of hope, and that hope is what keeps the legend alive generation after generation. The journey of the 1978 penny is not just about its design, its composition, or even its market value. It is about the intersection of history, art, economics, and human desire. It is about how something so small can carry such immense significance. And it is about how people, driven by curiosity and passion, can elevate an ordinary object into a priceless treasure. The penny may be the lowest denomination in American currency, but in the world of collecting, it stands at the highest peak of fascination. The fascination with the 1978 1-cent coin deepens the more we reflect on what it represents, because while billions were minted, and while most people think of pennies as almost worthless, the truth is that hidden among the ordinary are stories of extraordinary fortune. It is this contrast, the tension between the common and the rare, that gives the 1978 penny such a powerful allure. Every collector knows that when you deal with coins, you are never just handling metal, you are handling history, art, and the potential for something life-changing. And when the conversation turns to a penny rumored to have fetched $188 million, suddenly the whole world pays attention, even those who have never before thought of coins as anything more than pocket change. The design, simple yet iconic, remains at the heart of the coin's charm. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln has stood the test of time, admired not only for its artistry but for its symbolism. Lincoln's gaze is firm, thoughtful, and resolute, qualities that made him the perfect figure to immortalize on America's most humble coin. And then there is the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, with its sharp lines and columns, a structure that is both architectural and symbolic. What few people notice without close examination is that within the memorial itself, the statue of Lincoln is visible. This detail makes the coin unusual, because it means Lincoln is represented on both sides, creating a kind of hidden dialogue between the obverse and reverse. The 1978 cent is not merely a medium of exchange, it is a miniature monument that millions of people carried in their pockets without ever realizing its depth of design. The weight of 3.11 grams may seem insignificant, but when compared to the modern zinc pennies of today, the difference is striking. Collectors often remark on how the older copper pennies feel more substantial, more authentic. The sound they make when dropped onto a hard surface is distinct, a sharper, richer tone than the hollow ring of zinc. For numismatists, these details matter, because they connect the coin to a time when copper was abundant enough to be used in coinage, and when pennies were not yet seen as burdensome or nearly obsolete. The 1978 cent, therefore, embodies a certain nostalgia, reminding us of a time before economic pressures reshaped even the smallest denominations of currency. Within the world of coin collecting, the search for perfection is relentless. A 1978 cent in average circulated condition might be worth only face value, but one in pristine mint state red condition, preserved as if it had just left the press, becomes a gem that collectors eagerly pursue. Professional grading services examine every detail, from the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait to the absence of scratches, bag marks, or discoloration. Grades of MS-67 or higher are rare, and when such coins appear, they can command thousands of dollars. But beyond these official grades, it is the anomalies that stir the imagination. Double die obverse, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, these minting errors transform a penny into a unique artifact, one that tells the story of human error and chance within a highly mechanized process. It is these errors, combined with rumored experimental strikes, that feed into the legend of the 1978 penny worth $188 million. Some say the coin was struck on an experimental alloy, others suggest it was a transitional piece never meant to leave the mint. Still others whisper that its value comes not from the coin itself but from its history of ownership, once held in the private collection of a billionaire who drove the bidding sky-high simply for the prestige of possessing it. Whatever the truth, the stories persist, and in the world of collectibles, stories are often just as valuable as the objects themselves. What makes this story even more compelling is how it democratizes the idea of treasure. Unlike rare art locked in galleries or diamonds sealed in vaults, pennies are everywhere. They pass through countless hands every day, dropped on sidewalks, forgotten in drawers, or tucked away in jars. The idea that one of these ordinary coins could secretly be worth millions makes every penny worth examining. People who would never consider themselves collectors suddenly become treasure hunters, scouring their change with renewed curiosity. And even if they never find the mythical $188 million coin, they may stumble across other valuable pieces, error coins, rare mint marks, or simply high-grade examples that can bring significant returns. In this way, the 1978 penny has become more than a coin, it has become a symbol of possibility. It reminds us that hidden treasures exist all around us, that extraordinary things can be found in the most ordinary places, and that sometimes the difference between common and priceless lies in nothing more than careful observation and a bit of luck. The coin is a lesson in perspective, teaching us that value is not always obvious and that greatness can hide in the smallest of things. The myth of the $188 million penny also serves another purpose. It highlights the passion and dedication of the numismatic community. Collectors are not just buyers and sellers, they are historians, detectives, and storytellers. They preserve coins, research their histories, share their findings, and pass on knowledge to new generations. Without collectors, the stories of coins like the 1978 cent would fade away, lost among the billions of pieces that were minted. Instead, because of their dedication, the coin lives on as a subject of fascination, teaching us about economics, art, history, and human nature all at once. For the collector who dreams of finding the ultimate treasure, the 1978 penny represents both challenge and inspiration. It may take years of searching, countless hours of study, and enormous patience, but the dream remains alive. And even if they never find the fabled multi-million-dollar coin, the pursuit itself is rewarding. Each coin examined is a step into history, each roll searched is an adventure, and each discovery, no matter how small, brings joy. In this way, the journey of the 1978 penny is not just about wealth, it is about passion, perseverance, and the endless human quest for meaning and connection through the things we value. The allure of the 1978 1-cent coin continues to grow the deeper one explores its story, because while it appears to be just another small piece of currency, it embodies themes of rarity, history, artistry, and myth that make it endlessly fascinating. When we consider how billions of these pennies were struck, it seems almost absurd to think of one being worth more than entire skyscrapers or priceless art collections, yet this is exactly what gives the legend of the $188 million penny its power. The contrast between the common and the extraordinary, between a coin most people ignore and a treasure that could change a life, creates a magnetic force that draws collectors and dreamers alike into its orbit. In the world of numismatics, the tiniest details often determine the greatest values. For the 1978 penny, collectors analyze everything from the clarity of Lincoln's beard to the sharpness of the lettering, from the shine of the copper surface to the presence of even the smallest minting flaw. The thrill lies in finding a coin that is somehow different, somehow set apart from the rest. To the untrained eye, all 1978 pennies look the same, but to those who know what to look for, each coin is a potential mystery waiting to be solved. And it is in these mysteries that fortunes can be found. A double die error, an off-center strike, or a planchet mistake can transform a 1-cent coin into an object worth thousands or even millions. The beauty of the 1978 cent also lies in its timeless design. Abraham Lincoln's portrait, first placed on the coin in 1909, had by 1978 already been a familiar image for generations. Yet it never lost its power. Lincoln's face, etched in copper, speaks of determination, wisdom, and sacrifice. Every line of his profile tells a story of a man who led a nation through its darkest days. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse stands not only as an architectural masterpiece but as a symbol of national unity and remembrance. For decades, children and adults alike studied this small coin, some noticing the seated Lincoln inside the memorial, others marveling at how so much meaning could be packed into such a tiny space. The coin is both art and history, carried casually in pockets but deserving of admiration. Beyond its design, the 1978 penny also represents a pivotal moment in American coinage. It was among the last years before the dramatic shift in composition that would come just a few years later. As copper prices soared, the mint faced a difficult choice: continue producing pennies at a loss or find a cheaper alternative. By 1982, the decision was made to switch to copper-plated zinc, a change that forever altered the feel and character of the penny. The 1978 cent, therefore, belongs to the final era of true copper pennies, giving it an added layer of historical significance. For collectors, it is not just a coin but a relic of a bygone time, a reminder of when even the smallest coin carried the weight of real copper in its core. What adds to the mystique are the stories of experimental pieces that may have been struck in 1978, coins produced on unusual planchets, or test strikes that were never meant for public release. These coins, if they exist, are treasures of unimaginable value. They blur the line between official mint products and rare anomalies, and it is these anomalies that fuel the legend of the $188 million penny. Perhaps one was struck in gold as a test, or on aluminum as an experiment, or perhaps one was polished to proof-like brilliance and secretly slipped into circulation. Whatever the truth, the very possibility of their existence is enough to ignite excitement in the collecting world, because rarity is the ultimate driver of value. And yet, the story of the 1978 penny is not just about wealth. It is about dreams. It is about the thrill of searching through rolls of coins, the anticipation of finding something extraordinary, the joy of discovery. For some, it is about connecting to childhood memories of collecting pennies, filling albums, and marveling at the tiny works of art they held in their hands. For others, it is about the possibility of life-changing fortune, the idea that one small coin could hold the key to unimaginable riches. This blend of nostalgia and aspiration is what keeps the legend alive, generation after generation. Collectors often say that the journey matters more than the destination, and the 1978 penny exemplifies this perfectly. The act of searching, learning, and collecting brings its own rewards, even if the mythical multi-million-dollar penny is never found. Each coin tells its own story, from the scratches that speak of years of circulation to the gleaming surfaces of those preserved in mint rolls. Each detail connects us to history, to the people who used the coin, to the era in which it was made. And when viewed this way, every penny is priceless, regardless of its market value. Still, the legend of the $188 million penny endures, because legends are what make the ordinary extraordinary. They turn everyday objects into treasures, they fuel curiosity, and they inspire people to look closer at the world around them. The 1978 penny has become more than a coin. It has become a symbol of hidden value, of the idea that great treasures may be waiting to be discovered where we least expect them. It teaches us that sometimes, the greatest fortunes are not locked away in vaults or displayed in museums, but hidden in plain sight, in the palm of your hand, in the change you carry every day. And so, the story of the 1978 penny continues to captivate the imagination, not just of seasoned numismatists but of ordinary people everywhere. It bridges the gap between history and myth, between fact and fantasy, and between the past and the present. To some, it is simply a coin, but to others, it is a dream, a legend, a reminder that even the smallest things can hold the greatest worth. The story of the 1978 1-cent coin becomes even more compelling when we think about the way such a small object has the power to spark excitement across the globe. Pennies are everywhere, scattered in drawers, rolling under car seats, lying forgotten on sidewalks, yet the possibility that one among them could be worth a staggering fortune keeps people looking, keeps them imagining that they could be the lucky one to find it. The 1978 penny, in particular, has achieved a kind of mythical aura, and part of what makes it so fascinating is that it represents the intersection of history, design, economics, and human desire all in one simple coin. Every detail of the coin can be examined under the collector's eye. The year 1978 is stamped clearly on the obverse, just to the right of Lincoln's portrait, and it anchors the coin to a specific moment in history. That year, the world was changing rapidly, politically, culturally, and economically, and the penny was part of everyday life in ways that most people barely noticed. It bought gum, candy, or a soda when combined with a few more, but beyond its small economic role, it also carried symbolic weight. With Lincoln's face looking outward, it reminded people of resilience and unity. And on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial reminded them of a nation's promise. For such a small coin, it bore heavy symbolism. Collectors often focus on mint marks, and the 1978 penny offers three key varieties. The Philadelphia Mint issued coins with no mint mark, Denver produced coins with the D mark, and San Francisco created the S-proof coins, carefully struck with extra polish and detail for collectors. Each mint tells a different story, and within these stories are hidden opportunities for value. The Denver mint pieces often show differences in strike quality, the Philadelphia coins are more common but sometimes hold rare varieties, and the San Francisco proofs sparkle with sharpness that makes them stand out from all others. A full collection of 1978 cents from each mint can be a rewarding goal, but what drives excitement even further are the rumors of experimental or error coins that push the value of a penny into the millions. Error coins are often accidental masterpieces. A coin struck off-center shows the chaos of machinery colliding imperfectly, yet it becomes a treasure precisely because it is different. A doubled die reveals the complexity of minting, with letters or numbers appearing slightly duplicated, and such coins become rare and highly collectible. Even small planchet flaws, like a clipped edge or a wrong metal strike, can elevate the value from 1 cent to thousands of dollars. And when it comes to 1978 pennies, stories of such errors continue to circulate. Some collectors claim to have seen coins struck on foreign planchets, others whisper of a mysterious proof-like strike in circulation, and still others dream of finding a transitional error that was never supposed to exist. These whispers fuel the legend of the $188 million penny, making the search for 1978 cents an adventure filled with hope and anticipation. The beauty of coin collecting is that it turns every penny into a potential story. Imagine a child in 1978 picking up a brand new penny from change and slipping it into a piggy bank without a second thought. Decades later, that very coin could resurface, perhaps untouched, perhaps gleaming as if it had just been struck, and now it could be worth a fortune. The journey of that coin, from pocket to jar to discovery, mirrors the journey of countless coins across the years, each one carrying with it the possibility of hidden value. The 1978 penny is not just about what it is worth today, it is about the potential it represents, the dream that a tiny piece of copper could change a person's life forever. The emotional connection people have with pennies should not be underestimated. For many, the Lincoln cent was the first coin they ever collected, the first piece of history they ever held in their hands. Children filled Blue Whitman coin albums with pennies, searching tirelessly for missing years, and in the process, they learned about dates, mints, and designs. The 1978 penny often slipped quietly into these albums, overlooked as a common date, but today it stands out as one of the most discussed coins because of its legendary reputation. What was once dismissed as ordinary is now celebrated as extraordinary, and that transformation alone gives it power. What also makes the 1978 penny special is its connection to the broader story of American money. Coins reflect the times in which they are made. In 1978, the United States was grappling with inflation, shifting economies, and cultural changes. The cost of producing pennies was creeping upward, leading to debates about their future. People questioned whether pennies should even continue to be minted, a debate that still echoes today. Yet despite the challenges, the penny survived, and the 1978 version now serves as a snapshot of that moment in history. It carries within it not just copper and zinc but the struggles and decisions of a nation adapting to change. And then there is the legend itself, the story of a single 1978 penny that supposedly sold for $188 million. To some, this sounds impossible, even absurd, but within the world of rare collectibles, it is not unthinkable. When billionaires compete for a one-of-a-kind item, when prestige and rarity collide, prices can soar beyond imagination. A coin is not just metal, it is history, it is art, it is status, and above all, it is unique. If a particular 1978 penny can be proven to exist with qualities unlike any other, its value becomes untethered from ordinary logic. It becomes a treasure for which there is no price too high. This is what keeps collectors searching, what keeps the legend alive. Every 1978 penny becomes a candidate for greatness, every handful of change becomes a potential goldmine. It is this possibility that makes coin collecting more than a hobby, it makes it a treasure hunt. The excitement of discovery, the thrill of examining coins under magnification, the hope of uncovering a hidden rarity, all of this combines to create an experience that is both joyful and addictive. And for those who believe in the $188 million penny, the dream never fades. The journey of the 1978 penny is not only about what it represents in the numismatic world, but also about the fascination humans have with rarity. Throughout history, people have placed extraordinary value on things that are unique or scarce. Whether it is a diamond with a rare color, a stamp with a printing error, or a coin that stands out from millions of its kind, rarity has always commanded attention. The 1978 penny may seem common at first glance, but the whisper of rarity surrounding certain versions elevates it to mythical status. The very idea that a single coin struck in that year could fetch $188 million captures imaginations, and it is this sense of mystery that gives the coin its aura of magic. When we study the details of the coin closely, we realize how carefully crafted even the simplest of objects can be. The obverse side, with Abraham Lincoln's profile, reflects the artistry of Victor David Brenner, the designer whose initials VDB have themselves become famous among collectors. Lincoln's face is rendered with dignity and strength, and although millions of coins bear the same design, each feels personal when held in the hand. The reverse side, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, also speaks volumes about American ideals. If one looks closely with a magnifying glass, it is said that the tiny seated statue of Lincoln can be faintly seen within the memorial, a small detail that links the obverse and reverse in a subtle but poetic way. This attention to design is part of what makes coins not just currency but miniature works of art. For collectors, value is not only determined by rarity but also by condition. This is where grading comes into play. A 1978 penny that has been circulated, scratched, or worn may only ever be worth face value, but a coin that has been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition can suddenly become a prized possession. Collectors use professional grading services to authenticate and rate their coins, with terms like mint state or proof indicating a coin's level of perfection. A 1978 penny graded at the highest levels can command hundreds or thousands of dollars, and if it happens to be one of those rumored rare errors or unique strikes, the value could leap into the millions. It is this possibility that drives collectors to search endlessly, to study every detail under magnification, and to dream about finding that one in a billion treasure. The market for coins is also shaped by human passion. Unlike stocks or bonds, coins carry emotional weight. A collector does not just see metal, they see history, design, and personal connection. Owning a rare coin becomes a way of owning a piece of the past, a tangible link to another time. The 1978 penny, though small, serves as a time capsule of that year, carrying with it the essence of a nation's economy, culture, and values. When collectors talk about paying millions or even hundreds of millions for a coin, they are not just paying for the metal. They are paying for the story, for the rarity, for the privilege of holding something that no one else in the world possesses. It is also worth reflecting on how stories amplify value. The legend of the $188 million penny might have begun as a rumor, a whisper in collector circles, but as it spread, it gained power. People repeated it, debated it, speculated about it, and soon it became an undeniable part of the coin's mystique. Even those who doubt its truth are drawn to the conversation, and in the world of collectibles, stories often carry as much weight as facts. The narrative of a rare 1978 penny, secretly sold to a billionaire or hidden away in a private vault, adds a layer of excitement that no ordinary penny could ever achieve. It is proof that humans crave not just objects, but the myths that surround them. The emotional thrill of searching for a rare penny is universal. Imagine sifting through a jar of old coins collected over decades. At first, you see nothing but ordinary cents, tarnished and worn. Then, your eye catches the date 1978. Your pulse quickens. You turn it over, inspect the edges, look for signs of error, and in that moment, you are no longer just sorting change. You are a treasure hunter, standing on the edge of discovery. That is the magic of coin collecting, the possibility that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with patience and curiosity to uncover it. The economics of rarity also play a role here. When demand for a certain coin rises, even ordinary examples increase in value. The legend of the 1978 penny has fueled interest in all coins from that year, with collectors paying closer attention than ever before. Dealers highlight the date in their inventories, auction houses feature special lots, and private sales quietly exchange hands for surprising amounts. The market moves not only because of rarity but because of collective belief. If enough people believe that the 1978 penny is special, then it becomes special. Its value is as much about perception as it is about physical qualities, and this dynamic ensures that its reputation will only grow stronger with time. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the 1978 penny story is how it connects everyday people to extraordinary dreams. Anyone can find a penny.
They appear in pockets, on sidewalks, in cash registers, and under couch cushions.
Unlike rare paintings or luxury items that only the wealthy can access, coins are democratic treasures. The idea that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon a fortune in the form of a single penny is what makes the legend so powerful. It turns ordinary life into a potential adventure, and it gives value to the simple act of looking closely at the world around us. The 1978 penny, then, is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of possibility, of hidden value, and of the human love for discovery. Whether or not one particular penny has truly sold for $188 million, the dream it represents is real. It inspires people to collect, to learn, to hope, and to imagine. And as long as people believe in its legend, the 1978 penny will never be just a piece of copper. It will remain a treasure, a mystery, and a story worth telling again and again. When we think about the extraordinary journey of the 1978 penny, it becomes clear that its story is not confined to numismatics alone. It touches upon deeper aspects of human psychology, economics, and even philosophy. Why do people chase after a small copper coin that most would ignore on the ground? It is because the coin embodies the idea of transformation, turning something ordinary into something extraordinary. The 1978 penny represents the hope that the overlooked and underestimated can rise in value, can gain importance, and can suddenly matter in ways no one imagined. That is why so many collectors are drawn to this coin. It is not only about wealth, but about possibility. Every coin has its own biography, and the 1978 penny's life begins in the vast halls of the United States Mint. Imagine the industrial roar of presses stamping blank planchets into coins, each strike creating a precise design, each piece rolling off the line by the thousands. At the time, these pennies were meant for nothing more than everyday commerce, small transactions that kept the economy flowing. Yet hidden within those countless strikes might have been a few anomalies: an off-center strike, a doubled die, or perhaps a coin struck on a foreign planchet that accidentally entered the press. These accidents of production are what make collectors' hearts race, for they transform a common coin into a rare gem. The thrill of the hunt lies in uncovering one of these mistakes, and the 1978 penny remains a prime target for such discoveries. The condition of the coin, as always, plays a crucial role in its value. A circulated 1978 penny with scratches, nicks, and fading detail might pass unnoticed. Its worth limited to a cent. But an uncirculated example, shimmering with luster and free of blemishes, can be a prize in itself. Proof coins, with their mirror-like surfaces, add another layer of desirability. Some collectors specifically chase after these flawless specimens, while others prefer the charm of error coins that tell a different kind of story. Together, they form a mosaic of value that stretches from pocket change to treasures worth millions. The narrative of the $188 million penny feeds into this dynamic. Collectors and dreamers alike whisper about its existence, about a secretive auction where a single 1978 coin commanded a fortune beyond comprehension. Even if the story remains shrouded in mystery, it serves a powerful purpose. It fuels excitement, keeps interest alive, and ensures that people never stop looking closely at their change. The legend itself becomes a kind of currency, circulating through conversations, articles, and videos, adding layers of meaning to the coin. And in the world of collectibles, perception can be just as valuable as reality. The design itself deserves attention, for it has been in the hands of millions yet still retains its quiet dignity. Lincoln's profile on the obverse side is iconic, a symbol of honesty and unity. The year 1978 sits proudly beneath it, anchoring the coin to a specific time in American history. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stretches across the copper surface, with its columns and steps serving as a miniature monument to democracy. Even the smallest detail, the faint suggestion of Lincoln's statue within the memorial, reminds us of the artistry and thought that went into creating a design that has endured for decades. When one holds a 1978 penny, one is not merely holding metal, but a small sculpture that carries symbolic weight. Beyond design and condition, what makes the 1978 penny compelling is the sense of personal connection it creates. Pennies are accessible to everyone. They pass from hand to hand, from generation to generation. A coin minted in 1978 may have been in the pockets of parents, then passed to children, then saved in jars, and finally rediscovered years later. Each penny carries an untold story of where it has been, who has held it, and what it has seen. When collectors pick up a 1978 penny, they are not just looking at a date, they are touching a fragment of countless untold histories. That intimacy with the past is one of the greatest rewards of numismatics. Consider also the economic context of 1978. Inflation was reshaping the value of money, and debates about whether pennies should continue to be produced were already beginning. The cost of making a 1-cent coin was inching closer to the value of the coin itself, a tension that persists even today. Against this backdrop, the 1978 penny becomes a marker of a transitional period in America's monetary history.
It is not only a coin, but a witness to an era when every cent mattered, when children could buy candy with a handful of pennies, and when the humble cent still played a vital role in daily commerce. This historical connection adds another layer to its fascination. The allure of the 1978 penny lies also in its ability to inspire hope. People who pick up a penny often do so with a sense of superstition, whispering, "Find a penny, pick it up, all day long you'll have good luck." The idea that luck can be found in something so small connects deeply with human nature. The 1978 penny takes this idea to another level, suggesting that luck could translate into unimaginable fortune. To believe in the possibility of a penny being worth $188 million is to believe in miracles, and that belief is what drives the search. It transforms numismatics into a treasure hunt, blending history, chance, and imagination into a single pursuit. In the end, the 1978 penny represents much more than its face value. It is a reminder that the most ordinary things can hide extraordinary potential. It is a story of art, history, economics, and human longing wrapped in copper and zinc. And it is a symbol of the belief that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon a life-changing discovery in the form of a coin that most would overlook. That is the true magic of the 1978 penny, and that is why it continues to captivate collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. The fascination with the 1978 penny continues to grow because it blurs the line between everyday life and the extraordinary. A person could be walking down the street, see a dull, brown coin lying on the ground, and feel a moment of hesitation before picking it up. To some, it might be nothing, a coin not worth bending down for. But to others, especially those who have heard the legend of the $188 million penny, that same coin suddenly carries weight, mystery, and potential. It is not just a piece of change, it is a lottery ticket, a doorway to history, a chance at a life-changing discovery. This duality, ordinary yet extraordinary, is what gives the 1978 penny its enduring power. Collectors know that coins like the 1978 cent hold layers of meaning beyond their surface. On one level, it is a product of the mint, struck in huge quantities to serve the needs of a bustling economy. On another level, it is a marker of cultural memory, carrying the image of one of America's greatest leaders. And on yet another level, it is a mystery, a puzzle that challenges collectors to search for the rare and the unusual. This multi-dimensional nature makes the coin endlessly fascinating. It is never just one thing, it is history, art, economy, and legend all in one. The condition of surviving examples adds further intrigue. Coins struck in 1978 that have spent decades circulating are often worn smooth, their details faded by countless exchanges. These coins tell stories of everyday life, of purchases made, of lives lived. But those that survived untouched, locked away in rolls, sealed in mint sets, or preserved by chance, emerge today as sparkling reminders of what the coin once was. These uncirculated or proof examples allow us to see the design as it was intended, with sharp lines, full luster, and the artistry of Brenner's work clearly visible. To hold one of these coins is to travel back in time, to glimpse the moment when it first left the press with perfect detail. But even among uncirculated coins, not all are equal. Some show minor flaws, small imperfections from the minting process. Others stand out with flawless strikes, blazing red copper tones, and mirror-like surfaces. These high-grade coins are the ones that capture the attention of grading services, auction houses, and wealthy collectors. A 1978 penny in top condition can command surprising prices, and if it carries an unusual feature or error, its value skyrockets. The legend of the $188 million penny is tied to the belief that somewhere among the billions of coins struck in that year, one coin stands apart as something unique, something so rare that it transcends the idea of money altogether. It is important to understand why such astronomical values are even possible. Collectibles are not bound by the same rules as commodities. Their value is driven by rarity, demand, and passion. A billionaire might look at a rare coin and see more than an object. They might see a symbol of status, a once-in-a-lifetime acquisition, a piece of history they can own. When two or more wealthy collectors compete for such an item, the price can climb into realms that ordinary people can hardly comprehend. That is why it is not impossible for a penny, the lowest denomination of American currency, to reach a value that rivals paintings, jewels, or entire estates. In this sense, the 1978 penny is not just a coin, it is a symbol of how human desire shapes markets. The story of the penny also reflects broader truths about human curiosity. We are drawn to mysteries, to the possibility of finding something hidden. That is why treasure hunts, legends, and rare discoveries have always captivated us. The 1978 penny fits into this timeless pattern. It invites us to search through our change, to look more closely at what we hold in our hands, to wonder if the ordinary might hide something extraordinary. In a world that often feels routine, the idea that magic might be hiding in a penny reignites the sense of wonder that fuels both collectors and dreamers alike. The market for 1978 pennies shows no sign of fading. Online auctions, coin shows, and private sales all continue to feature this date, with prices varying wildly depending on condition and rarity. Stories circulate of people finding unusual examples in pocket change, sparking conversations and debates about their true worth. Dealers highlight high-grade examples with pride, and grading companies showcase the finest specimens as proof of what still survives. Each time the story of the $188 million penny is told, interest surges again, ensuring that this coin will remain at the center of attention for years to come. Perhaps the most beautiful part of the story is the way it unites people. Collectors from around the world, regardless of age or background, share the same excitement when they find a 1978 penny. Children may marvel at the date, wondering if they have stumbled upon a treasure. Adults may carefully examine it under magnification, searching for details that could set it apart. Elders may smile at the memory of when the coin was new, recalling the days when pennies still bought candy or paid for a phone call. In this way, the 1978 penny becomes a bridge across generations, a small piece of metal that connects people through shared wonder. In truth, the value of the 1978 penny cannot be measured only in dollars. Yes, there may be one rumored to be worth $188 million, and yes, collectors may pay thousands for pristine examples, but the real value lies in the experience. The thrill of discovery, the joy of collecting, the bond between history and present, all of these are priceless. The penny teaches us to look closely, to pay attention, and to believe that even the smallest things can carry great meaning. And that, perhaps, is worth more than any price tag. As we reach the end of the journey of the 1978 penny, it becomes clear that this coin is far more than just copper and zinc pressed into a familiar design. It is a symbol of possibility, of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered, and of the way even the smallest object can carry a story worth millions. For decades, pennies have slipped through our hands unnoticed, but the legend of the 1978 cent has taught us to look closer, to appreciate the details, and to wonder about the mysteries that may still be hiding in plain sight. The truth about the $188 million penny is that it may be more than a simple coin, it may be a legend, a story born of whispers, yet it has the power to inspire. Whether one extraordinary specimen truly sold for that amount or whether it remains the stuff of myth, what matters most is the excitement it generates. That excitement drives collectors to search, to learn, and to dream. It reminds us that in every jar of coins, in every pocketful of change, there is a chance, however small, that something extraordinary is waiting to be found. When you hold a 1978 penny, you are holding history. You are holding the artistry of Victor David Brenner's Lincoln design, the legacy of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, the echoes of 1970s America, and the possibility of unimaginable value. It is at once ordinary and extraordinary, humble yet powerful. And for those who dare to look closely, it is a reminder that treasures are never far from reach, they are often right there, in the palm of your hand. So the next time you come across a penny dated 1978, don't just dismiss it as pocket change. Hold it to the light, turn it over, study its details, and imagine its journey. Could it be the one? Could it be the legendary piece worth $188 million? Perhaps. But even if it is not, you have still discovered something valuable, the story, the history, and the wonder that this small coin carries with it. That is the true wealth of the 1978 penny. In the end, the greatest treasure is not only in the coin itself but in the dream it represents. The dream that the ordinary can become extraordinary, that a single moment of discovery can change everything, and that sometimes, the smallest things in life carry the greatest meaning. And that is why the 1978 penny will always remain a coin worth remembering, a coin worth seeking, and a coin worth cherishing.